when I read that bestseller story, which is the same title, Run Boy Run, and it's been sold in 17 or translated in 17 languages, even in I think it's published here in America as well. And when I found out that this little boy, the hero of the story, is still alive, I was flashed. So I thought it's kind of a special story to tell after all these Holocaust movies, and I didn't want to make in the first perspective a Holocaust movie. Just want to do a story about a kid, a hero in wartime, which you have all the time. And even war, these are the innocent victims of every war. So this was the topic of my point of view when I started to make the movie. Of course, it was also the German history been involved, and the Shoah, which is, a fact which we don't have to forget, even if it's 70 years been gone. It's still a topic you have to put your fingers on. So, but the fact that this little kid survived and that he founded a family after all these years, that's a surprise and makes this story unique.
Absolutely unique, and you mentioned how the book was released in several languages, and what I found another thing I really liked about the film is that everyone who speaks the language of the film, that's their native language, everybody,
yeah. That was a long discussion because, for an international distribution, everyone was forcing me to do a film like this in English. But, if you do this in English, I did it once in Spain, everyone, it's something, you have to cast in English, you have to, but I found, these images, these Polish images, these faces who are telling you stories, the attitude to live in a culture like in the Polish post-war culture. This makes this kind of authenticity, which was so important for me, the truth, the authenticity is, which I decided, in a real time, when a German meets a Polish guy, they have to manage this kind of stuff. So it's a little bit, getting to the truth of history, even if you reconstruct it in a feature film. That was the main reason why I decided that everyone speaks his own languages, and even at a certain point, which I think is the first time ever, that when they switched it to Yiddish, at a certain point, which is not only a switching of language, it's also a very much content-driven moment. So when this boy who was hidden his real identity to survive, at that moment when he gets to trust this guy who wants to help him, this Jewish guy who brought him to an orphanage, he starts speaking Yiddish with him, and the boy responded in Yiddish. That's kind of also an intriguing moment, which I think is singular in the film, because they talk about the future and the past of the Jewish people. So at that point, I felt that's a really important point, which is undermining this importance that everyone speaks his own language. And so the Russian speaks Russian, the German, and that makes this stuff believable.
Yeah, I think it helps a lot and it adds a lot, because you see a lot of movies where it's clear that the person speaking this language is not their native language.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'm really, really glad we sold this movie all over the world, and the most of the countries make subtitles, so it's still something which is a foreign kind of, because this, I don't see the attitude of history of this specific story is based also in the original language that people speak, which is other. So I'm very happy that. Even in, here it's clear that you don't make synchronization, but Europe, they synchronize a lot. So, in Italy, in Spain, in France, but still they've been always subtitling the movie when they brought it theoretically into the cinemas.
And this film, it is, the setting is like this Holocaust setting that lots of films are set in, but it's an adventure. It's an adventure film. that was unique for me.
Yeah.
Talk about crafting this. It's at times, even at times, it's funny. The funniest clip for me is where he tells people that Hitler
cuts his arm off.
Yes, the funniest. The actor, I don't know which one it was, but it was just played it so straight. It was hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I did a documentary 10 years ago in a real war, in the Balkan War, and I met kind of people who lost everything, Muslim people at that time, but they still kept their humor in a really desperate situation. And I feel if there's no laughter in the world, the world is dead. The world is done. So I'm always that in a tragedy, humor has to be involved in it. Otherwise, also audience is not standing a film which is. This is a hard movie in terms of what's going to happen to that boy, and your identification with this little hero is from the first moment when he's beaten up very heavily. You've been with this little boy over 100 minutes, and sometimes you have to laugh. Sometimes you see the cleverness in his eye, and he's not doing to make a joke. He's doing it to get some food more.
Right. Yes.
So there is a deeper sense also in it. But and you're right. I was thinking about how to put a subject like this 70 years after the Holocaust to reach young people like you. It's. In Germany or in Europe, the people had to have, no, don't give me that stuff. That's yours. It's old stuff. You don't want. And to bring them into the cinema, to pay them, an admission ticket. It has to be something more to intrigue them. So the word of mouth go. Well, we have to see it. It's an adventure movie. So even it's been played a lot in school. A lot of school classes going into it and looked at it. So, the target was younger people to get involved in the project more than the older one.
Wow, and I think what makes it, certain elements of the film feel like we said, it's an adventure movie. I've seen many children's movies that are structured like this, that it's a young boy on an adventure, but I think what's great is that it doesn't sugarcoat anything about that time period. It's a brutal movie. Yeah. Yet, it's also an adventure.
It's an adventure, but it's a brutal movie, yeah.
Yeah, and that works. I don't know if I've seen a movie quite like that, where it's a young person on an adventure, but it's terrible.
I think it's also what was an adventure for me to do, because if you think about a young hero in the age of 8, I mean it's a period of 4 years, so he's the time period of a child between 8 years and 12. So, and he's carrying the whole story in the movie. He's carrying the entire movie. He's in every single shot. This little boy is, if you have the third sense, there's always a big guy, like Bruce Willis, for example, and the little boy. But here, this little boy has to carry the movie. He has, he's doing it really great.
We need to talk about those twins.
Oh yes.
How is it working? The performances are so consistent. Yeah.
It was, I'm not actually was searching for twins. I was casting it afterward. Yeah, I always said it would be a great luck if I get twins.
Interesting.
On top that I'm twin, I am a twin as well. Yeah, I'm an identical twin as well. So I know the psychological side of on twins very good. So when I was casting 700 kids over a period over a year, and at the end there were only 2. And at that moment I have to decide, and I was choosing from those both and Jay. And when I chose him, he told me that he has a twin brother. I didn't know that at that moment. No,
oh, wow.
I was casting him because of his talent and the kind of charisma he has as a kid, and the intelligence. He's a very, very smart boy, and his brother as well. So, because his brother did already a movie, only a little part. So the parents said, you know, if one twin had a part in a movie, you should have also one. So he was there as a single person. Then I asked him to bring him to the rehearsals, and in the rehearsals I really realized that they are, you know, as I am a twin as myself, I felt there's two different persons, but they look similar. You know, one was very sensitive. He could, you know, was able to cry. The other one wasn't able to cry. So, but he was, you know, the more forced, the more extrovert person. You know, who's extravagant. He was going on to these big actors and facing them with his eye, and the other one was really shy and was really, you know, close to the water. He was very, very sensitive. So I could use those in the ability they had on special terms. So when the boy has to cry, I took Camille, and when he has to go to the fights, I took the other one.
So that's an incredibly advantageous situation, because
Absolutely.
Not only, I mean, having twin child actors has its clear advantages, but also you're a twin, so you get it. You get how they work together.
Yeah, I understood the psychology of those guys. I knew that as a twin in that age, you need each other. You know, you can't work with a twin without the other one. So that's because he was missing him, the twin brother, more than his father and his mother. So, but in the age of 8 to 12, they've been 10 years old when we shot. This is the most important thing. Your twin brother, he has to be on your side for self-consciousness, for comfortability, and as I know exactly how they work, you know, there is no I, it's only we, but still they are different. And as I know it by myself, and I know my brother and me, the difference between the secret in the communication of twins. So it was a good coincidence, and I found the twins and could use them as one single character.
What luck! That is incredible. I want to talk.
Very good story, yeah.
It is a good story. I mean, there's a lot of good things about this production, and I want to talk about the look of the film, because it's these mucky, dirty places that you're filming. But gosh, the movie's pretty. It's a pretty movie. Talk about the aesthetic of the film.
Yeah, it was a little bit scary if it becomes too beautiful.
Right.
That's, you know, a big danger in this kind of way of. So I was always, you know, we called it because it's a real film. It's not a video. It's not a digital base. It's a 35 millimeter kind of. And as I used it in former times, you used it when you've been in the lab. You had a special procedure which is called that a bleach bypass, because you are pushing the colors back, but not to black and white. So you could do that nowadays also on a digital basis, but I always felt black and white is too historical and, you know, too artificial. It became an art movie, and to have the bright colors, it becomes too beautiful. So we worked only with real light, actually, which we had. We don't have so much artificial lights.
That's amazing. Really?
Yeah, we're just using the sun and, you know, with mirrors. And when we've been indoor, we have the mirror going through the windows. And we had that pushback of the colors. And, of course, a beautiful, outstanding DOP.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
We storyboarded the whole movie, which is also something which is not usual in Germany or in Europe. It's smaller production hadn't normally the money to do this kind of stuff, but we did it, and because if you work with kids, you know, you've been only allowed to shoot normally 5 hours a day. That's a law. So the other side of the production, we were lucky we have twins, so we had the entire time to shoot. But still, you are working with kids, a lot with the kids, and you have to be prepared when you shoot with them. Otherwise, you go. We had a lot of shooting days, but, you know, if you're not being prepared, if you do, we're gonna be lost.
A final question. In my research about you and about the film, I read or saw that you said this was one of the best times of your life making this film. Why was that?
I don't know actually, because normally as a film director, you say, the most difficult things in making a movie are kids, animals, and shooting outdoors, because and we had all these things in there, and I said, oh fuck, it could be hell, So animals were not working, the cats are not working. It's raining, but I had such a brilliant team by chance. The head of department I knew, but sometimes it comes together that it was just a brilliant, good time. It was so there was a star over this this production who was protecting us, and it made a lot of fun to do it, even if the story was a big tragedy involved. But it was really one of the, on my working time, one of the best times I ever had.